Who would believe it's done like this?
On the next all-new episode of My Hero Academia.
I don't want it to be true, man. But look at how much damage the heroes have done lately. I just don't know. The people watching this are gonna freak out. He's already won. Thank you for living long enough to see this day. Endeavor!
My Hero Academia. Next Saturday at midnight. Only Toonami on Adult Swim. The Fatal Five search for limelight has led them to present-day Earth.
Ah, yes, the 21st century pleasantries.
When the past and future collide,
Do not take this threat lightly.
it's going to take the League, the Legion, and the Lantern Corps to save the galaxy.
You wanna play? Play with this!
Justice League versus the Fatal Five. Next Saturday at 1 a.m. Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
The following program may contain coarse language, suggestive dialogue, and discussion of violent imagery and sexual situations. It is intended for mature listeners who can tell the difference between facts and opinions.
The news is coming in fast on this episode of the Toonami People Podcast. I am your host, Sketch, and with me I have...
Paul Bascrillo, the founder of ToonamiFaithful.com.
And...
editorial writer, VLord GTZ.
And bringing up the rear...
another editorial writer, LaserKid.
Well, Toonami released the schedules for the rest of February, and they sure weren't on my bingo card.
I don't think they were on anybody's bingo card.
No.
Though it's not really bad news, but it's not like...
No, I think this is overall a good surprise.
Yes.
Though, finding out what the next shows are going to be is always exciting information. But looks like we're going to have to wait at least a little bit longer for that. As once Yashihime and Maiden Abyss have both vacated the premises, there will be 2 openings. And we don't know what's filling them yet, but we do know what they're going to air the 2 weeks after Maiden Abyss has its 1-hour finale. So the schedule for February 18th, that's Valentine's Day weekend, yeah? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. They start off with the new episode of My Hero Academia. And then Toonami's Valentine to us is Injustice, the animated movie.
Isn't that relatively new, too?
That's pretty new.
Yeah, it's pretty new. It's
The concept's a little dated with the game, but, the animation.
Well, right.
Yeah, the first game came out quite a few years ago at this point. But the comic too, but this movie is an adaptation thereof, and they just felt like they really needed to include Primal. So at 2:15, and I wouldn't hold it to that exact time because usually when they give something a 2:15, like a 15-minute start time, it's probably like guesstimating. Right. So some point after Injustice ends, they air Primal, which I suppose will be the next episode in sequence. And then once again, the Toonami schedule says they're playing a Rick and Morty short, the Great Yokai Battle of Akihabara, in this case, probably will not air with Toonami bumps. Let's see if they prove us wrong. Hasn't happened yet. I want my Rick and Morty bumps.
You gotta give it to us, Toonami. Come on, Rick and Morty bumps!
Yeah. And the following week, February 25th, once again starting with a new episode of My Hero Academia. At 12:30 is a special presentation of Ballmastrz Rubicon, the new special which is supposed to finish off the Ballmastrz series that you may remember played most of its episodes in 2020 on Toonami. They weren't new, of course, they were just reruns from Adult Swim. And this too will be a rerun of sorts. It's premiering on the 20th, a Monday? I think.
That's a choice.
That is a choice. And it'll be on HBO Max on the 21st. So then Toonami gets it on the 25th. I'm looking forward to it. I really enjoyed Ballmastrz.
Same here.
And right after that, at 1 a.m., we're getting Justice League versus the Fatal Five, which is a pretty sweet movie.
Yes, it is. I quite like that one.
Is apparently the last time that Kevin Conroy voiced Batman for animated film.
Oh, wow. That makes sense. I never thought of it that way, but yeah.
And it's a big Justice League reunion from the Justice League DCAU animated series.
That is why I actually watched it when it was first announced. They're like, hey, this is continuing the Timverse. I'm like, oh! It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
And it features a lesser-known Green Lantern, which is pretty cool. And some characters from the Legion of Superheroes. And the Legion of Superheroes is also getting a new DTV film, direct-to-video, direct-to-download, just called the Legion of Superheroes, that looks to be another one in the style of Batman Long Halloween and Superman Man of Tomorrow. I think that was what it was called. I like that style. I like that style for these DC animated films. It's a refreshing change of pace. And once again, a Rick and Morty short supposedly ends the night. This one being Summer Sleepover. Again, I do not expect it to run with Toonami bumpers. They never do. And while they're not exactly playing the last episodes of Ballmastrz on Toonami, apparently on the 18th, they will run... No, the 18th, they will run the last 4 episodes directly after Toonami. So, getting you caught up in case you never saw those last 2 episodes. I'm trying to get them to swap out Primal for those last 2 episodes of Ballmastrz. I would like that.
That would actually make a lot of sense. So you can get the entire run on Toonami.
Yeah, I still don't understand why they cut it off when they did. I know they wanted to start Assassination Classroom right as soon as they could, but did you really have to just not play those episodes ever? They're good episodes. They end the season. They're important. They win the big game and then they fly off into space, and I'm sure that is all very relevant to the Rubicon special. So yeah. But they are airing directly after Toonami on the 18th, so not too bad. And seeing as it's in the 3 a.m. hour, it's Toonami, right? It used to be. It used to be.
In the age of legends.
Long, long ago, in the forgotten times.
Yeah.
Before the dark times. Before the Empire.
Laser, go back to bed, please.
Okay.
Yeah. They were playing Samurai Jack directly after Toonami for a while, but that finished. So, not really sure why they decided to restart Primal, but I gotta be honest with you, it's on at 2:30 in the morning. I don't care. You keep playing Primal. Yeah, it's getting a little overplayed at this point, but it's always good. So, doesn't really bother me. Though there are other shows they could potentially be rerunning. That's a segue, Paul.
Is that a segue?
Is that's a segue?
Oh, you really want me to
and
go
take
down
a
this
ride.
rabbit? You really want me to go down this rabbit hole yet again? But you know, I don't know what it is, and let me preface this by saying I don't think we've talked about this since Warner Media became Warner Media Discovery.
Maybe.
So obviously, you know, maybe it's different and they're not allowed to do this, but you know, I'm seeing at least 3 shows in Adult Swim's library that they could easily put in these spots and nobody would care. You know, for example, Ghost in the Shell. They own the show. You can put it there. Cowboy Bebop, as long as they have every single episode, which, as Sketch pointed out before the podcast, is not even on the app. So,
what are you doing with only part 1 of the Real Folk Blues?
Yeah.
Fix that.
So, I mean, maybe that's why Cowboy Bebop isn't shown back up. But
no, I think it hasn't shown back up because they used it fairly recently.
That's true, but it's not real recently.
I mean, it was a year ago.
I mean, they did do a marathon of Fooly Cooly, but you still have progressive and alternative that you could use.
Yeah. I don't know why they're not choosing to play one of those instead of starting Primal over. That would have been my guess.
You got Housing Complex C is still there. You know,
they're probably letting that rest until
right.
Look, if they play all of Uzumaki in October and then they do a marathon of Uzumaki and they got 4 more slots after Uzumaki, what are they going to do? They're going to put Housing Complex.
And there may be a couple others that obviously Adult Swim doesn't have here, you know, that they could play too as well. I mean, there's obviously Samurai Jack too. But the point is we've been down this road before where you've had to dip into older shows that you own that won't cost you any money, and nobody really cares if you do it. Like, well, except for that one dude, but we're not going to get into that.
He cares immensely.
Yeah. But I mean, you can throw Ghost in the Shell on there. It hasn't been on in a long time. I'm just using that as an example, but
that one, you know, has had a good rest.
It has. It's had a very good rest. So I mean, you can put that back on. Nobody's going to bitch at you. I mean, you even have some of Black Clover on here still. You still have what was that? That was up higher up here.
I mean, if they can rerun Black Clover, I don't know why they're not.
Yeah, that's true.
But just because it's on the website doesn't necessarily mean that they can air it on TV. Right. But we don't know. But there's also shows that aren't on the website that maybe they can air. Like, where's IGPX? It's not on the website. Give me IGPX.
And then there's, you know, possibly Space Dandy, but there again, I think that they don't have rights to that anymore.
I don't know about that one anymore, but man, I could go for some Space Dandy.
So, I mean, you know, there's some possibilities that they can tap into. I'm not saying that, you know, I can understand if they don't want to do that. I get it. But you have this library of shows, and I feel like I say this every so often, but and I feel like a broken record too, but you can use these shows. Again, nobody's going to get pissed at you. Hell, you even have Attack on Titan. You have like every single
They have all
season.
of Attack on Titan.
Exactly. So, you know, just do it. Like, you know, nobody's gonna yell at you. Okay?
Full run of Attack on Titan. Let's go.
So
that'll last years.
but I do want to say this though. I do want to say that one thing that I think you've also had a question about, Sketch, that has definitely been answered is they can still dip into the DC product. So I'm happy about that.
This is legitimately the first time that it looks like Warner Brothers Discovery's coming in clutch.
And Injustice is not a very old movie. It literally came out like what, a month or two ago. So
I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but it's very, very recent that it came out. So it's like,
it's a curious choice. I almost wonder if the one of the reasons why they're playing it is because Shazam is in it, and Shazam is coming out in March.
Yeah, but that seems a little soon for that. If that's what they're doing. It
does. It's absolutely. Look, okay, so every prior time where they have played a DC thing to promote an event or a movie, it's always the same dang weekend, which doesn't make any sense. You should do it before that weekend.
So,
anything,
I mean,
the one on the 18th playing Injustice is like counter-programming to Quantum Mania in theaters.
Yeah.
The Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. But yeah, it makes more sense to promote Shazam a month in advance.
Well, and
or
maybe
at least
that's
a week in advance.
And I mean, maybe that's what's going on. But there again, Jason usually will put something up if they're doing something special in that kind of case. So I don't know if that's what's going on, but maybe it is.
Yeah, we pretty much have to wait until the night of and see if Tom says anything about it.
Right.
And he might. You know, they got to record new bumpers, so they could have Steve record something about it.
So, I mean, there's not all like negative about, them playing movies. And personally, to be honest with you, I don't care if they play DC movies. I want to see more American action cartoons on there, as I've said so many times on this podcast.
You know what? They should play the Mortal Kombat movies.
That's
the animated ones.
That's not a bad idea because they can do that. But there again, I feel like they want to try to keep to things that have actually played on there before, in the sense of, okay, we've played DC shows and movies on our block. Let's do it again. That kind of thing. So, I can understand, but maybe they didn't do that, but
yeah, I don't know. Maybe nobody's even thought about it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I feel like something's coming. I couldn't tell you what's coming because...
Well, we can certainly hope something's coming in March.
Yeah.
March is coming in like a lion.
I mean, the dub of Bleach's new season is almost over with, being put out on Hulu, so I wouldn't be surprised if that shows up in March. There again, who knows? I don't know. I personally don't see them not putting Bleach on TV, but there again, if it is truly owned by Disney in a sense, then it's probably fuck you. But
it depends on what kind of deal they made with Viz.
Right. So,
and also, when you're looking at the rest of the year, they should probably just wait until My Hero ends before they play Bleach. Because otherwise, what are they going to play for 6 months?
Yeah,
that's true. Well, I mean, there's 500 parts to this last part of the season of Attack on Titan. So, I mean,
those that could be 4 to 6 episodes in 2 batches, or it could be just 2 long episodes.
Can I just take a second to bitch about Attack on Titan? I don't understand what made you think that continuously splitting up this last season into part 50 at this point.
Look, you have to understand the Mappa staff are dying. They're dying.
Attack on Titan Super Final Season 2 Turbo HD Remix.
They're working very hard. I do love that meme with Dr. Manhattan. It says, in 2020, I'm watching the final season of Attack on Titan. In 2022, I'm watching the final season of Attack on Titan. In 2023, I'm watching the final season of Attack on Titan. When they said,
my God.
And the other part will air in 2023, I hope that they realize that 2023 is this year.
So,
because for real, if we only get one part of the final part here this year, you got to be kidding me.
Well, I mean, it took them 5 years to do season 2 of Attack on Titan. So what makes you think that they wouldn't do that with what they're doing right now?
That was waiting for the manga to proceed, and yeah.
Well, they screwed that up.
They did. They
absolutely that
did.
Show,
they waited too long.
That show was on fire, and then the fire died because
they had to wait 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean that show could have been huge had they not waited so long to play this show.
It's still pretty huge. I mean, it regularly crashes Crunchyroll servers.
And I'd say it's still very huge. I mean, as far as like the final parts go now, it does surprise me that they didn't like wait longer and then produce it all at once. Like, I guess like maybe they didn't have communication with Kodansha or like Izuyama about when the series was going to end. Because otherwise, I feel like they wouldn't have just labeled all these as like final part.
Yeah, you could have just gone like season 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
I mean, they already pulled the nonsense of season 3, part 2.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
And then,
like what happened with
then they did the final season, part 1, part 2, part 3.
Oh my god.
Part 1 of 3.
I'm getting irritated just by you saying that.
Yeah. But no, like Apple's working on like way too much right now. So like
I saw suppose Attack on Titan is the most in-demand anime in the world. My response to that is we just want it to end.
Yeah, exactly.
Just want it.
And I don't think it's that big in the United States, but who knows?
Oh, it's
Titan.
big. It's
Titan is huge.
It's very big. It's Titanic. Maybe not as much as it was, but
Yeah, I mean it's not Naruto, but like it's still very popular.
And how popular is Naruto at this point?
Still
That's a
popular.
good question, actually.
It's still popular, but I mean,
Still popular. They're still playing Shippuden. Oh boy, they just started the infamous Filler Yomi.
Oh god.
So I mean, I'm not. I'm interested to see basically what's going to be coming here because
aren't we all?
I'm just at this point I'm kind of confused at what Crunchyroll is doing and what the hell they're actually letting Toonami do because it's just like
not much.
Like are you actually letting them have shows? Are you not? Like did Netflix throw you the money that you wanted for season 2?
Oh, they absolutely did.
For season 2
did.
For Demon Slayer season 2, even though it's been out for a while.
They absolutely did.
I really hope not, because that is really stupid. That is really
well.
funny.
Netflix is known for their excellent business decisions.
No, they're not. That's why they use debt notes. That's why they use debt notes. So. And for those of you that don't know what a debt note is, I know. And for those of you that don't know what debt notes are, look them up and you'll probably sit there and start laughing. Because that's why Netflix is eventually going to die. Especially because they're not going to be able to allow you to share your password. But we're not here talking about Netflix, are we?
What kind of Shinigami uses a debt note?
That's true.
Dang it, you beat me to it. I was trying to figure out how I was going to make that joke.
One thinking that.
I was thinking the same thing too, but I was trying to figure out a joke and Sketch wins.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Fastest finger wins.
What? I mean...
No, wait, it was Fastest Finger First. That was the name of that show. They made a show about quizzing. Do we think there's any shows that we're going to get coming up here in March, or do we think is there? Well, at this point, I mean, I was already thinking that maybe Fooly Cooly Grunge would be in February, but now I'm really thinking it's March. But see, that's the thing that kills me too. Is like, okay, if you're bringing out one of the Fooly Coolies that you're making, why aren't you playing the last Fooly Cooly that you made, like, to lead into it, even though it has nothing to do with it? You know what I mean? Good question. If they don't at least play Fooly Cooly Alternative before they play Shoegaze, which is in the same universe, I'll be a little annoyed. Also, because Fooly Cooly Alternative was the good one.
Yes, it was.
I will die on that hill.
I will die on that hill right alongside you.
That's the thing that I wonder the most out of all of this is, are they even allowed by Warner Media Discovery to like play some of these shows, or are they like no, it has to stay on HBO Max, don't put it on TV? Like,
I don't know, that wouldn't apply to Fooly Cooly.
Not alternative and progressive?
No, those aren't on. They are. The subs actually stream on Crunchyroll.
Well, right.
I don't think that affects anything, but it might stupidly affect something. I don't know.
That's the thing. Like we don't know. We don't know how it all works now. At least
they haven't been written off. That we know that because they're still on the Adult Swim website,
which is really weird. Which is so weird that they didn't write those off, but yet they wrote off Shenmue and.
Well, I'll tell you why they didn't write those off, because they plan on making more Fooly Cooly. They can't make more Fooly Cooly if they write off the old Fooly Cooly.
Yeah, that's true.
But also, it probably was like, well, we could either write it off or we could make more.
Yeah.
and it might have been a bit of a difficult decision.
As long as they don't write off Thundercats rights, I will be fine. Oh,
I don't think Warner would ever.
That would be stupid. That would be so fucking stupid, and people would
like. What's going on with Silverhawks? Like, supposedly Silverhawks is no longer owned by Warner Brothers.
Yeah, that one is weird. That actually was, I want to say over a year ago they said something about that. Somebody else owns it, and they were going to do
things that are
reboot.
Partially owned by Warner. Legend of Calamity Jane coming from Discotech. What the hell?
Yeah. I'm so hyped.
That is crazy. I thought that was basically lost media.
Do you want me to nerd out about Saber Rider? Because holy crap.
No, we'll be here forever.
Yeah, Discotech had a good day. Gal Geiger final is coming.
Yes.
And Ari Cutie Honey.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And alas,
Ano and a Maishi Cutie Honey. Put that on Toonami.
In a way, Crunchyroll kind of owns that because they own Right Stuff, unfortunately.
Oh, the Discotech isn't owned by Right Stuff.
Well, right, but I mean, Discotech puts all their stuff on Right Stuff, basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's their primary distributor. It's not like Nozomi. Nozomi is owned by Right Stuff, and that's why Crunchyroll has Gundam.
Fuck them.
Also,
anyways,
as an aside, pretty weird going to the Sword Art Progressive 2 movie the other day and seeing the Crunchyroll logo before the Aniplex one.
Yeah, that was a change of pace.
Kind of surreal. Well, hey, I can't fault Crunchyroll for their theatrical rollouts lately because they tend to give these things at least a week.
Really nice they do that.
Much better than it used to be.
Makes it way more convenient.
Speaking of Crunchyroll, they need to do a much better job at promoting some of their shows. Because Gundam, I think it had like 1 or 2 episodes already out, and then started promoting it.
It was just the prologue, episode 0, that had come out with no notice. The dub, I mean, the dub had come out with no notice, and IO90 was like, "Hey, this Gundam show came out and nobody said anything."
Yeah, it's like you have these animus, as one of you would put it, and you don't advertise it. As much as I hate Netflix, at least they have their own channel to promote their fucking anime. Like
Netflix is pretty bad at it too, but
Netflix is bad at it, but at least they promote it in at least once. So I can't give them. I can't sit there and shit on them that bad, but
a lot of dubs Crunchyroll puts up with like no notice whatsoever.
Yeah, at best
usually it's because they're not Texas dubs. But in this case, it is a Texas dub. They're dubbing Gundam in Texas, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, isn't the Gundam shows usually, or a lot of them, I should say, not usually,
I mean, a lot of them are NYAV Post.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Before that, they were mostly done in Canada. Ocean Group and
so like. Yeah, that was weird. So
yeah, like, NYAV Post losing Gundam is kind of crappy.
Yeah.
Because they literally put a movie out last year in theaters that they dubbed it NYAV Post. So I think they'll probably keep doing UC Gundam stuff at NYAV Post, but alternate universe probably Dallas.
Yeah, that's
mind
so
you.
Weird.
Iron Blooded Orphans was Bang Zoom, but
that's what I was
still
gonna
Los
say.
Angeles.
Yeah.
Still Los Angeles. I don't think there was even a union dub, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah. Well, if you've been waiting for the Witch from Mercury dub, it exists now.
But wait,
I don't know why it
Sketch.
took as long as it did, but it's
Sketch. That was supposed to be on Toonami. It was predicted.
Yeah, you know,
it was foretold.
It was forspoken.
The prophecy was wrong.
That was.
Oh my god.
That's an educated guess at best.
Exactly.
I mean, I made that educated guess more than a month ago. I was like, hey, they haven't dubbed that Gundam show yet. Maybe that's coming to Toonami.
But
hey, they haven't dubbed Urusei Yatsura yet, even though they said they would. Maybe that's coming to Toonami. Well, it's not coming in February. But it's not announced for High Dive yet, so maybe March.
You never know.
So I think we've kind of talked about this enough, but you did put out a tweet there, Sketch, about Sentai shows.
I did, because I just thought it'd be a fun thought exercise to pull the listeners, as it were. Like, we could sit here for a long time suggesting Sentai Filmworks catalog shows that would be good for Toonami, but why not involve our listeners a bit? So I did that.
Here, I got a Sentai show. It's called Big O, Season 1. Can we finally fucking get that and own it? Thanks.
You'll never get to own it, but you could borrow it for a little while again.
I get the feeling, I get the odd feeling that the reason they don't have it or haven't licensed it is because Sentai was trying to, the whole Demon Slayer. We're gonna charge an huge price for it.
I don't think it's that. I think I'm not entirely sure that Sentai even has the TV rights to it. It's probably still Sunrise, though. Then again, if it was Sunrise, they probably could have gotten it.
Exactly.
It's probably also the fact that it's like an oldish show, so
yeah,
and it's played several times before, so it's not like it would be a brand new show. So
look, lest we forget that after, frankly, years of people begging for nostalgic Toonami shows, particularly Outlaw Star, they played Outlaw Star, and it was met with apathy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It lost to Uber reruns of Cowboy Bebop airing after it. What more can I say?
You can play shows, but you have to play shows that we like.
Yeah. No, I mean, that said, I still think probably original Trigun or Yu Yu Hakusho would potentially draw a nostalgic crowd, but honestly, they're better off playing things they haven't aired before. And there are so many Sentai shows they haven't aired, and really only a handful that they have. But that didn't stop some people from saying, can they just play Parasite and Akami ga Kill again?
Oh, God.
I mean, they could do worse, but...
I'd prefer no Akami ga Kill. Parasite.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm always down for another airing of Parasite, but... Yeah, Akami ga Kill. I know. It can be enjoyable, but yeah. So I got a list of 50 two shows that people came up with to put it.
Shows.
Yeah. And I tried my best to note how many times each one was brought up. So, for instance, there were 9 mentions of Vinland Saga, including one from me. Now, I don't know if they actually have the TV rights to that, because Vinland Saga's rights are a cluster F. And even if they do have the first season rights, they don't have the second season. Still, even if they only played that first season, it'd be pretty cool. Maybe not the best choice, but pretty cool.
I mean, that's the season that has most of the action, so...
Good point. Other popular choices, 7 mentions each for Dororo, which is a very cool show that was in Amazon jail for a while, like Vinland Saga. And they happen to finally have the sub and the dub on High Dive now, so I guess they probably have the TV rights. Popular thing to be mentioned on this podcast pretty often, Ushio and Tora, also 7 mentions.
Ushio and Tora! I think I was one of those people.
5 mentions for Akiba Maid War, which is a very recent show. The dub is not quite complete, but by the time they would potentially start in March, I think it'd be ready. It's a very entertaining show, a very crazy show. All right, let me pitch it to you. What if all the maid cafes in Akihabara were trying to kill each other? Like Yakuza. And there's this whole gang war thing with all the maids. And it's pretty ridiculous with his violence. But there's also a heartfelt story in there somewhere. Yeah. Quite a few people mentioned Majestic Prince, the giant robot show. I think Darrell said he liked that one. I think he said he didn't like Captain Earth. Captain Earth was bad. Nobody mentioned Captain Earth. but some people did mention Batum, and it's a good thing Darrell isn't here, because he would wring their necks. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, a couple of mentions for various things. So, let's see. 2 for Land of Lustrous, 2 for New Getter Robo Arc. Journeyman 15 suggested Ahiro no Sora. Kind of surprised more people didn't suggest that one. Ya boy Kong Ming. The Eminence in the Shadow, which is a recent show, which is just ridiculous. The Eminence in the Shadow is about a guy who gets isekai'd on purpose, I think. And when he gets to his fantasy world, for funsies, he comes up with like this evil organization that he's fighting against, like live action role play. But it turns out everything that he comes up with is absolutely true.
My fan theory is that he has prescience, but he doesn't know it.
And he doesn't know that it's true. So he thinks he's being a total edgelord, and all of the people in his life are like, wow, he's so wise and smart and such a cunning guy.
He thinks they're all playing along with him.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, oh, hey, they're having fun with me. This is great. But meanwhile, they're just like, oh my god, this is so serious. He is so wise.
Also, if you think he's the kind of guy who will jump up like a dog for a coin, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
I have had a lot of fun watching that one. I legit switched over to the sub after starting the dub just because it's that good. It's nutty, but it's fun.
Yeah. The Journeyman 15 and our boy Laser over here mentioned your boy Kong Ming.
Your boy Kong Ming!
Which is about Kong Ming being not reincarnated, like transported from ancient times to modern day and becoming the strategist for an up-and-coming singer. And it's really great. The music's fantastic. Aiko is such a best girl. And Kong Ming offering his wisdom constantly is just...
It's also
good.
bonkers, and I love it for being bonkers.
And the opening is so good.
Oh, that opening is fire.
Total bop.
Total bop. Gibbs Amari suggested Legends of the Dark King. That's a Fist of the North Star thing, isn't it?
It is. It's,
good choice.
Final story, if I recall correctly.
Yeah. Only Seth Men mentioned No Game, No Life. Good choice, but I'm surprised more people didn't mention that.
I completely forgot Sentai even had that, to be honest.
So did I.
Do they?
I like
do they still have the Studio Dean Fate Stay Night, or do they not have that anymore?
I think they still do.
Because that was suggested by JM Mexico for the lulz.
Okay, it's on High Dive, so I'm assuming they do.
Yeah, I would assume so as well.
Maybe. Also suggested Amagi Brilliant Park along with somebody else. Yeah. Let's see here. VL731 suggested quite a few things and was the only one that suggested some of them. Ajin, which used to be on Netflix. Knights of Sidonia, which also used to be on Netflix. Broken Blade, which is a really cool giant robot series.
You'll just be sad because there's no real ending.
Oof.
It's one of those that books continue.
Bodacious Space Pirates is a cool space show involving young girls being space pirates. Girls in Panzer, which is the whole thing. Just the whole thing about tank girls. Yeah, girls in tanks. It tends to take itself seriously, I think. It's certainly an interesting concept. Chihaya Furu, which is a great show about a rather, I wouldn't say obscure board game, but I mean, you've probably never heard of it in America. And what it is escapes me.
Karuta.
Karuta. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Medica Box, that's a Shonen Jump. And apparently it's a Stephen Foster dub. I'm sorry, Steve Seven Foster. It never gets old. And Gate. 2 people suggested Gate. There was a point when I would have suggested Gate. I could roll with it. That'd be fun. Our friend Sam Clutters and 2 other people suggested Call of the Night.
Ah, yeah, Call of the Night.
He also suggested Review Starlight, which is a cool show where girls learning to be idols also dance fight. And there's like some pretty deep lore to it, I believe.
I saw a lot of people compare like the movie to that, to like the Utena movie.
Interesting. Yeah, there's definitely some Utena inspiration. And My Love Story, which, I mean, who doesn't love My Love Story? That's probably not something Toonami would play. Even more of a stretch than something like Kong Ming, which has, some fantasy to it. But
Kong Ming is so not an action show, but it's fun.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are so not an action show, Kaiji. Sadly, only 2 votes for that. I think it was just me and VLord.
Kaiji needs more
I need
love.
to watch it, but otherwise, honestly, I probably would vote for it.
Yeah, see, like Kaiji's not an action show, but it has enough like thriller and suspense elements that I think it could like fit on Toonami fine.
You know what
I think
we
so,
need?
too.
We need some Godinar.
Yeah.
That is not
at least one person suggested that. What?
Oh,
Golden Hour is an excellent choice. What are you talking about?
It's
Marriage of God and Soul.
It's a fun mecha show, but I don't know if they could get away with the fan service.
I mean, it's on Adult Swim. I think they could probably do it. But if they can't play that, they definitely can't play Cross Ange, which was suggested by Cyber Draco. And Laser suggested I'm Quitting Heroing, which I would also recommend. It's an interesting concept because there's so many series out right now that's all about the hero defeating the demon lord or somebody getting kicked out of the hero's party. Well, what happens when the hero defeats the demon lord and then has nothing? No direction in life. And they decide, you know what? The demon lord actually has a point. Maybe I should side with the demon lord.
I had a lot of fun with that one. Season 2, please.
Yes. So I don't care. 8273 did suggest Golden R, and also Cutie Honey Universe.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, that is Sentai.
We are going for the spicy.
Yeah, that one's probably too spicy.
Yeah, fortunately.
Mamma Mia Notor suggested Hamatora and Blade of the Immortal. You know, I'm surprised more people didn't mention Blade of the Immortal. In fact, I'm kind of ashamed of myself for not bringing it up.
Also ashamed of myself for not thinking of that one.
I think I forgot about because it's still not on High Dive.
There's a lot of stuff that High Dive doesn't have that they should.
So maybe that one's still in Amazon jail.
It might be. I'm sure it's going to expire soon, like Dororo, though, because it seems like it's like 2 to 3 years between like when Sentai gets like the home video rights.
Where's my recreators? Dang it!
Never.
Oh god,
that's
never because it's
Aniplex.
And they don't seem to want to rescue their Amazon shows.
That one kills me because that one has a great concept that I wanted to watch, but I was like, dub it please, and now I'm just sitting here going, it's never.
Oh my gosh, imagine a dub where like they really cast it with the thought of people who have done those kinds of roles before.
Oh yes, that would be so good.
It's so good.
Aniplex, prove us wrong, dub it. Do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that show holds up really well too. So like
yeah, absolutely. I want to watch it again. It's so freaking good. So freaking good. Shad Mythfadon suggested Ungo. Did that get dubbed? I have no idea. That was it's a mystery show, as I recall. I've seen a little bit of it. It could go places. Clairvoyant Nara suggested Maria Holic and jokingly Needless. But yeah, they can't play Needless. They can't play Needless.
There's no way they're getting away with that one.
No. Too much underage stuff. Cedric _Alpha suggested Shika, Coffin Princess. Kind of surprised that didn't come up more. Yeah, that's there was a time when Shika was like one of the popular anime girls for memeing. I feel like that was a thing. Yeah, it's a little past its prime now, but it'd be a good time. John Karp suggested Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun, along with somebody else. Ruby Kurosawa was the one that said, hey, can we just play Parasite and Akame ga Kill again? And then somebody reiterated. Crimson Rennick suggested Princess Principal, and somebody agreed with them. Our boy Amp Ren suggested From the New World. Interesting choice. I haven't seen it. A Princess 716 suggested School Live. Oh man, I would love the reaction to School Live.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
I almost wish they would play more than one episode in one night. But part of the School Live experience is watching the first episode, getting to the end of it, and going, oh. I get it now.
I love how the promos before it aired made the show look so innocent. That's not what you're getting.
I'm sure it was a manga before that, wasn't it? So
I think it was, yeah.
I imagine most people were tipped off on that, but Ceviche Overlord suggested Run with the Wind. That is a great show. I would enjoy seeing that. It's about here. This is interesting. Sports in college, at a college, an all boys track team, running team, trying to what was it they were trying to do? A marathon, I believe. They were trying to do marathons, and there's all kinds of guys in this group. There's like the senpai who's smoking all the time, even though he's a runner. There's the guy who can barely run, who's an otaku, that they're like, come on, man, you can do it.
Oh, yeah, the prince.
The prince. It's like, he works really hard. He really does. There's the guy who, the typical guy of, oh, I take sports so seriously, and I don't want to join this team because I know you guys aren't going to take it seriously. But he comes around. And then if you got to have the senpai who's like trying to bring everybody together, is like, come on, guys, we can do it. It's good. It's a really fun time. I enjoyed it. Celia suggested High School of the Dead.
Oh boy, the spicy takes are real today.
Huh. Surprised nobody else brought that up. Flip Flappers, and somebody else also suggested Flip Flappers. That's a really interesting show. Lots of flashy visuals. A great story about two totally normal girls dealing with totally normal circumstances. That's a lie. It has some pretty freaking sweet action sequences, I gotta tell you. It's not exactly the focus of the show, but there's a lot of it. And I did not know AKB0048 got a dub, but interesting choice, Celia. Interesting choice. That'd be Celia Rose, our prior social media lady. Red the Hawk suggested Reincarnated as a Sword. That's fairly recent, and I think that's a good choice.
Absolutely back that. That's been very fun.
Two more people backed that one, and surprised not more people mentioned this. Though Allison didn't respond to this, but she probably would have voted for it too. But Cervici Overlord suggested Haikyuu.
Oh, that's an inspired take right there.
Yeah. And three people mentioned Haikyuu. And again, I'm pretty sure if Allison had responded, she probably would have mentioned it.
Yeah, probably.
But probably surprising no one, the show with the most mentions is Food Wars 5th Plates. I don't know.
No one needs that. Even the people that think they need that don't need that.
I think season 4 was a good ending. I mean, what more do you want? They beat the bad guys. They're changing the academy for the good. Soma's in the elite. What more do you want? What more do you want? A surprise older brother, apparently. Or younger brother. I forget. A surprise brother, regardless. Whose brother, you might ask? That's a complicated answer.
Let's get out the flowchart.
Oh, God, it's going to do that, huh?
Yeah, I totally understand why people most want Food Wars to come back. And Toonami likes to finish shows when they can. That could be hung up in Crunchyroll nonsense, but they got My Hero Academia, so maybe they can get Food Wars. But I'm pretty sure Crunchyroll has the master license for that season. So
yeah, probably.
Might not happen. Also, weirdly, it was supposed to go up on HBO Max dubbed. Never did. Never did. Yeah. But it did come out on home video from Sentai. I know, because I got it really cheap when it was on really cheap. I was like, I know I'm not going to like this, but if I can buy it for this cheap, I can stomach it. Thanks,
That's
Best
a mood.
Buy. That is a mood, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, lots and lots of good Sentai show suggestions. There is an abundance of possibilities. So, Gil, Jason, Kim Manning, if you're listening to this, there's your research.
I might have missed you mentioning this, but did no one say, is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?
I forgot to mention it. It actually had a lot.
I am late to thinking it, but if we're going to throw late suggestions, how about Pat Labor?
Pat Labor. Well, they did say, Jason specifically did say that they are looking into really old shows that never aired on Toonami. And while that was on, not Toonami Jetstream, but the Toonami Reactor. If you're that old, like me and Laser.
God, you just threw something I forgot about back into my mind.
Oh, remember watching Namek episodes of Dragon Ball Z on dial-up?
I do, because I did it too.
It was really hard. And if somebody made a phone call, there goes your episode. Suddenly that fight between Goku and Frieza is even longer. It's the longest 5 minutes that ever existed. Well, yeah. Don Machi, a.k.a. Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Which is, frankly, a misleading title. It is, a lot of people mentioned that one. Seven people mentioned that one. Yeah, I think Don Machi would be a great choice because there's a lot of episodes of it now. There's several seasons. So it could be a slot for a while. And it's a really fun dungeon crawler with some entertaining female characters. Your mileage may vary. It's you would think that it would be more pervy than the title implies, but it's not. It's really pretty wholesome. It's all about a guy who wants to get stronger, and the whole thing about the title is it has something to do with his late grandfather, who really wanted to bestow upon the kid, find yourself a good woman. That's the best thing in life, buddy. Yeah. And then you have the goddess Hestia, who just fawns over this young man a little too much. But her heart's in the right place. Yeah, it's a really fun show. I honestly do wonder if there was a point when they considered it and were like, but that title, though. Come on, roll with it. I mean, Seth Man even said, I want to see the reaction to the title. Like, me too. Who doesn't want to see the reaction
they
to
could
that
have
title?
fun with that. Have Tom and Sarah react to it in the intro. Like, what is this? And we Hamtaro intro all over again.
I just want to hear Howard Parker say a title with a question mark at the
Oh my god!
How would he even do it? I want to know. I want to hear it. I want to hear it. I want to hear it. I also want to hear Steve Bloom say it. And I want to hear Dana Swanson say it as Sarah. I want to hear it. Make it happen. Yeah. So that was a fun thought experiment, and I appreciate everybody's feedback. I think a lot of great suggestions here. And if nothing else, if you got High Dive, watch all these shows. They are good.
I've definitely added some things to my High Dive list from this conversation.
Good. Excellent. Yeah. Hopefully some of them do air on Toonami. The thing is, I think there's this misconception that just because they can get shows from Sentai means that they can get anything from Sentai, and I don't think that's the case. I think it's certainly going to be more complicated than that. Plus, let's be real here, Warner Brothers Discovery is not giving them a very big budget.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem.
I think that's actually one of the major problems here.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest problem, yeah.
Yeah, and, I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the podcast that could be part of the issue too.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know how much Toonami is being allotted. I would assume that it's probably less than what it was.
Yeah, I don't think that budget has ever been 2019 level again.
No, but there again, I mean, you got My Hero Academia, so unless you were paying peanuts for it, who knows?
Oh, that is unlikely.
Yeah, so I mean,
they probably had to choose between that or Bleach.
And I would argue that My Hero Academia is more popular than Demon Slayer, and so I would suspect that they might be paying that price for it. But there again, I don't know. We don't know.
To say? I think the best news is I'm pretty sure that was bought with last year's money. So hopefully that means that they have enough for stuff this year.
I really suspect that's why we won't start seeing anything until next month, probably. Just because they're trying to use whatever money they can to, you know, make the best of what they have. So, but there again, you also got to keep in mind, as a reminder, when we say budget, these shows that they're producing,
those aren't counted.
Yeah, those are their own separate little budgets.
Separate bucket.
You know, you got to keep that in mind too. When we say budget, we're talking about something completely different.
Acquisitions and acquisitions alone. And seeing as they buy Naruto 50 episodes at a time, they may have already bought the last batch.
Yeah.
Or if they haven't, then this current batch will last them another 23 episodes at this point.
Well, you know, that's true. That is true. The other thing I wanted to bring up too before we get on out of here, Warner Brothers is starting their Warner Brothers TV stuff.
That they are.
I don't know how
to
you
the
found it.
Fast race, I'd have to say.
Yeah. I don't know how you found it on Roku, because I would be interested to find out how you found it, Sketch. But yeah,
one of their streaming channels.
Like which one is on Roku right now?
There's an Adult Swim one. I think there's
is it in
Samurai Jack one?
Is it in the Adult Swim? Like where is it? Is it in the Roku TV app, or is it
in the Roku channel app?
Oh, okay. Interesting. I'm gonna look that up right now.
I'm not entirely
look at this.
sure.
I'm working and podcasting at the same time. Hey.
Impressive.
Very impressive. You should be impressed.
If y'all haven't seen the Weird Al mockumentary Weird on Roku channel, it is quite good. Though honestly, it's best at the beginning. It gets kind of off the rails in the middle. But definitely a good time. I highly recommend it. Now you can watch it for free. So you have to sit through ads.
Well, the reason
I don't think there's any other option there.
The reason I brought it up is if they're gonna do, they're gonna do all these TV channels like a Pluto kind of thing, you might as well just do a Toonami channel. But there again, what do you put on that Toonami channel if you don't have shows? So
yeah, that's kind of a problem.
A big problem. So, I'll be honest, I would like to see that. But if you don't have any shows to put on it, it's kind of a waste of energy, honestly. So, I don't know. But that's probably our best chance to ever get a Toonami channel, to be honest with you.
Probably.
Though I will say, like, I'll give it to France because they've done a really good job with having a Toonami channel. Albeit it's not just, it's basically a Cartoon Network-esque kind of thing going on, but it's very interesting to see a Toonami channel have live action and just, you know, be very successful. So, you know, be careful what you wish for, because, you know, you may not get the Toonami channel that you want if that ever happens here in the United States.
Well, if we actually do have a Toonami channel and Warner Brothers Discovery is like putting their everything behind it, I would figure it's going to have lots of DC stuff on it.
Yeah.
They own that. But with them focusing on putting DC stuff on Amazon, who knows?
Yeah.
Who even knows?
I don't try to think about it anymore, honestly.
I can't even find this Adult Swim thing on the Roku channel anymore.
Yeah, I was looking for it just now, and I didn't see Adult Swim. I didn't see Samurai Jack. So, is that on Tubi, maybe?
No, it's not Tubi. It was definitely Roku.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
You guys are going to make me look for it now.
Well, and that's the other thing. That's another thing that kind of doesn't make sense about that either is I understand that you're working on whatever your new version of HBO Max and Discovery Plus into one app is, but why not just do a Pluto TV type thing and just do it that way? Like, you see how Pluto TV's it's becoming really popular.
Well, they are planning on doing that. They're just doing it through Roku and Tubi instead of making their own thing.
Yeah, but that's stupid. You know what I mean? Like,
speaking of things that are stupid,
yeah,
the whole Showtime thing.
What is it? What Pluto or Paramount Plus?
Paramount Plus
on Showtime or something?
With Showtime.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So here comes Discovery Plus with HBO. Ugh.
I don't ask questions.
Yeah. Well,
it's better that way.
It's fun. It's funny. Just about a month ago, my father said, "Hey, I was going to watch Westworld on HBO Max and it's gone." I said, "Yeah, about that. That is apparently being moved to a free ad streaming channel." And so it is.
HBO Max is being run very strangely.
Indeed it is.
I cannot get over what makes them think whatever the name of this app is going to be better than HBO Max. Like, you're doing so well with HBO Max right now. Why fuck it up? Like, it just blows my mind. And, you know, speaking of channels, like, they still haven't put the networks on HBO Max like they were supposed to. So it's like,
oh yeah, that promise that they're probably never gonna make.
No, and I'm like, and by the way, that would be a first, because no other app really has done that with their networks. So it's like, and what I mean by that is like having, okay, HBO Max has all the Turner, Warner Brothers, blah 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 networks on one app. Yeah, you could log into Adult Swim and watch Adult Swim, but that's it. So, oh, by the way, you can't watch Adult Swim. You can't watch Cartoon Network outside of the time of Adult Swim on the Adult Swim app. So, nobody's ever really done that. So that was kind of exciting to hear them promise that, but then it hasn't happened. And I mean, think about it. Now you have all the Discovery channels, so you could have a shitload of channels plus HBO Max or whatever it's going to be called now on one app. People would actually pay for that.
Yeah, Warner Brothers Discovery owns a huge chunk of cable channels. It's disgusting.
Yeah. By the way, don't ever, if you ever
including
think that TBS,
three different children's entertainment channels.
If you ever think that TBS is going to go away, it's not. Don't ever think that, because
of course not. TBS is a rerun channel.
Well, it's not just a rerun channel. It plays live sports.
Yeah.
It's played the Atlanta Braves for years. Where are you going to put that? Where are you going to put that if it goes away? So,
yeah. Sports is definitely going to be a big focus for TBS and TNT.
Mm-hmm.
As they have been for years. That's not new.
So,
the only thing that's new is like dialing back on scripted stuff. That's a distressing development. But I'm looking at this at their plans for fast channels on Tubi and Roku. And I'm just scratching my head at this stuff, man. So, yeah, they do have WB TV Watch List, which has a bunch of stuff that was pulled off of HBO. Westworld, Raised by Wolves, The Nevers, The Time Traveler's Wife. And then you have WB TV Keeping It Real with reality shows like The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise, Finding Magic Mike, and F-Boy Island. F-Boy Island? Really? That I know that's an actual show, but oh boy.
Yeah.
WB TV all together, shows with characters who feel like family, with 8 is Enough, Better With You, and Head of the Class. There's like so many reality TV, and like this is heavily the Discovery stuff, like totally heavily the Discovery stuff. There's hardly any Warner Brothers stuff. There is a movie channel which will have classic films from the 70s, 80s, and the 90s. Cool, potentially. And then there's like this one's called WB TV Family Rules, series about real life families. Okay, real life families. Okay. My 5 Wives. Yeah, that sounds like quality entertainment. Breaking Amish.
Wow.
That's Discovery.
My Big Fat Gypsy Wedding. Of course, there is a channel for pet stuff. There's with shows like Dogs 101 and My Cat from Hell. That's a fun one if you haven't watched that one. They got there's literally a channel called Sweet Escapes that's just stuff like Cake Boss, Extreme Cake Makers, and Cake Wars. What's the missing element here? Cartoons.
Yeah.
There are no cartoon channels.
Yeah.
None. Zilch. Nada. No Adult Swim. No Boomerang. No Cartoon Network. No Warner Brothers Classics. No Looney Tunes. No Looney Tunes?
By the way, I brought this up too. Like, I brought up Pluto TV. Like, you already put CNN stuff on Pluto TV. Why didn't you just put your Warner Brother TV stuff on there?
I don't want to. I think they don't want to like put all their stuff on Viacom's own thing.
Yeah, but if you think about it, like,
it's definitely going to get more views there.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like, you have an established app. You have something that obviously is doing well.
Pluto TV could be the new Hulu.
Oh my gosh.
I hate to say this, Sketch, but it's starting to look like that. And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, Tubi's looking like that too.
Pluto TV is really fun, not gonna lie.
Dude, they got a
24/7 Ninja Turtles channel and a 24/7 One Piece channel. I'm set for life.
Heck yeah.
And Lupin.
And Lupin. And
a Lupin
Transformers
channel
too.
Yeah.
Yep. So
For sure.
I mean,
They got lots of cartoons.
yeah.
So I don't understand why no cartoons? Why what? Well, they have so many cartoons, and not nearly any of them are on HBO Max.
And by the way, Toonami on Pluto, that does make sense. I'm just saying.
I would love that.
Has a nice ring to it.
Yeah, it does have a nice ring on it. Nice ring to it. Nice ring on it. Whatever you want to call it.
If you liked it, then you should put a ring on it.
Exactly.
I think this is a great idea. I'm surprised Warner has taken this long to do it. I just can't understand why there's no cartoons, no like family stuff at all. This is
especially when they had.
This is TV for old people.
They had what was it? It wasn't Discovery Family. It was
yeah, it's Discovery Family now.
Well, it was Discovery. It's Discovery Family now, but what was it before? It was the Hub. Yeah. So like you have all that stuff.
What a great channel that was.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Miss the Hub.
I like the Hub as well.
It had a great atmosphere. They made new Animaniacs bumpers. They got the Animaniacs actors to record for new bumpers. It's dedication.
Yeah, I remember watching Dan Versus all the time on there.
Dan Versus was the best.
So,
oh, his rants were. Yeah, watch Dan Versus. I think it's on Hulu.
So I do think that we've kind of.
Yeah,
said everything tonight.
We've said the things. Well, I do want to say we don't know what the future holds for Toonami. March could open with more movies for all we know. I mean, they have that Shazam movie to promote, so I would think that they would play that Superman Shazam Return of Black Adam short, which is like 25 minutes. That's not a movie, but they could probably pair it with something else. Yeah, they're kind of strapped for Shazam related animated movies, though he does appear in some of the new 52 adaptations, as I recall. Yeah, because Sean Astin plays him. He does a great job. Great job, Samwise Gamgee. And Raphael, the 2012 Ninja Turtles. Good stuff.
By the way, I hope we get a show for Toonami, a DC show finally. I mean,
it is
what's his name?
that they haven't bothered. There's so many things.
But
James Gunn, let your light shine upon Toonami.
I can't tell you how many times I've tweeted that dude. Like, dude, you're in charge of the animation now. Fucking put a show on there. Like, come on, let's do this. By the way, don't tell me you haven't talked to Jason DeMarco about this stuff. I mean, he's doing the new Lord of the Rings. Like,
they probably talked.
They had to have.
This seems like a good time to bring this up. Somebody pitched me an idea for an original for Toonami. So Rise of Black Bolt on Twitter suggested an adaptation of a really cool comic called Future Quest. And if you've never heard of it, it's all of the classic Hanna-Barbera action characters like Johnny Quest, Space Ghost, Birdman, all of them in a connected universe storyline. It's really cool.
You have my attention, good sir.
Yeah, I bet I do. Yeah, it's a good comic series that DC put out. I want to say a couple years ago.
I'm just saying, just go grab the SWAT Cats Revolutions, and we'll be fine.
I mean, I'd love that too. I just take SWAT Cats at this point.
Yeah, classic SWAT Cats. I mean, you could do worse for $2.30.
I would love it. I would love that.
I mean,
so
I totally
much.
bought it on DVD, but I'd watch it on Toonami.
But
yeah.
The
reaction to this news, I think, was mostly positive. The GW Otaku on Twitter brought up an interesting point. Back in the day, when a DC movie aired on Toonami, it was like super cool. Everybody was happy. But here's the thing. Toonami only airs once a week now. So I totally understand that people who have their routine of watching their One Piece and or Naruto every week might get a little tiffed by some DC movie coming in saying, bye-bye.
Yeah, but I don't,
you don't get
think...
to air. One Piece is airing only once in February. One Piece fans are on watch.
Yeah, but
right.
I don't think.
Honestly, I'm okay with it.
I don't think it's because of that. I think everybody is still on that Toonami's only anime kind of thing.
That is the other problem.
Yeah.
And it's a stupid problem because Toonami from day one had American action cartoons. It was mostly American action cartoons.
Let me pull out the definition for you again. Toonami is an action cartoon block.
They're building you a better cartoon show. It does not say anime.
Yes. Though the focus was often on anime,
Indeed.
and pretty much all their original series are anime, and some of them aren't technically action shows.
So anyways.
It's still an action block. And anytime an action animated movie that's not originating in Japan airs, that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. You know, as long as it's good. And I have heard that the Injustice animated movie is not great, but I haven't seen it, so I will enjoy the suffering, I think. But Justice League versus the Fatal Five, good stuff. Definitely watch that. Definitely watch that one. Definitely. But yeah, it's not that big a deal. Your shows will return. I mean, probably. Their negative reactions to this have ranged between DeMarco sucks because he didn't get anything to, oh my gosh, Toonami's getting canceled in March. And I know that it kind of looks that way, but just because it does look that way doesn't mean it's gonna happen. I mean, look at the schedule at points last year and tell me that it didn't look like it was gonna get canceled.
I'd say the last several years have been interesting, and we haven't died yet.
We're still ticking. And yeah, people were like, well, but the head of Warner Brothers Discovery is constantly cutting things and blah, 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 blah. Well, okay, as much as I have many gripes for Mr. Zaslav, he actually got Toonami promoted on other channels. And if he's going to keep doing that as recently as like a month ago, I don't think he wants to pull it off the air, guys.
That tells me it's doing well.
It must be doing something. Otherwise, they wouldn't be wasting valuable ad time promoting it.
Exactly.
On things like All Elite Wrestling. Which, an inspired choice, I must say. It took them long enough, but I'm glad that they're doing it. A very good cross-promotion synergy thing. Yeah. And maybe we have Warner Brothers to thank for these DC movies when they're in a pinch. But we don't know. We have no idea what may or may not have happened. Though there was a tweet that Jason made when he was doing one of his AMAs. It was in response to Paul, actually, as I recall.
What was that?
And that was, you were asking him about things coming up for Toonami. And I think this tweet was more telling than we realized. As he said, some fun stuff planned in the coming weeks. Hopefully some other stuff too, if it doesn't fall through. Fun stuff sounds like movies, not shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would argue that it would, if they had to start picking something at the beginning of January when their budget reset, It's not a lot of time.
Yeah,
and they don't have a lot of lawyers.
By the way, I hate to beat this drum even more, but when we're talking about free shows that you don't have to spend money on, and you can dip into the DC part of things, like...
Well, they can only do that when Warner Brothers lets them.
Well, I mean, Warner Brothers should let them play Young Justice finally.
Yes, they definitely should.
And I still don't understand why that isn't on there. I still don't. There's no... I mean, if they're allowed to play Warner Brothers stuff, unless Warner Brothers is being, like, completely stupid about it, which I don't see why they would be, especially if it's promoting... If you're going to use it to promote HBO Max at some point anyways, why not just put it on there? Go from episode 1 all the way up through the newer episodes. It's called a long-running series for a reason.
I would agree. And if they're willing to throw movies on every now and then, why would they not be willing to run a show?
I mean, do I really need to say why is Toonami France playing the Harley Quinn show, but we only get a marathon out of it?
Yeah, a marathon that didn't even play all the episodes.
Exactly. So, like, is France running Toonami better than what Warner Media Discovery is doing here in the United States? I should say allowing them to do here in the United States. Like,
there's definitely more cooperation going on over there. There always has been.
Terrible, man.
There always has been.
But yeah, it's getting to that hour, so I think we've said everything we need to say.
Toonami is here to stay. Don't worry about it. Enjoy the movies.
Just remember, Toonami makes money. That's all that needs to be said. So, should I clean up as we say? Sketch is waiting for me. Okay, Paul. Now you can start talking. So I mean, if you guys have been listening to this podcast for years, you should know that you can find us pretty much on every single podcast app out there. All you really need to do is go to your favorite podcast app, put in the search bar Toonami Faithful Podcast, and it should show up. If we are not on your favorite podcast app, because God knows I feel like there's a new podcast app every day at this point, all you got to do is just email us, podcast@ToonamiFaithful.com, which is our email, and let us know, and we will see if we can get put on there. We'll come back to that email in just a second, but basically the apps we want you to definitely listen to us on is Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon Music, and of course on SoundCloud, which is soundcloud.com/ToonamiFaithfulPodcast. There is a SoundCloud app, so you can subscribe to our podcast on there as well. Every episode is on there from episode 1 all the way through this episode. So please do listen to it, especially if you're a new listener there. And I do think some of the podcast apps, instead of only having a few episodes, now may have all of our episodes in their catalogs. So you may be able to listen to every single episode on them. But SoundCloud definitely has them. Also, all of our episodes and interviews are up on podcast.toonamifaithful.com. That is our website. Please go there to listen to every single episode as well. Like I said, our email is podcast@toonamifaithful.com. Please give us feedback if you have any. Let us know if there's people that you want us to interview, because we would like to start doing that again now that the pandemic is kind of subsided, hopefully. And just let us know how we're doing, or suggest topics too. We always like suggestions, right, Sketch?
We do indeed.
And lastly, if you want to contribute to the podcast, to the website, whatever, ToonamiFaithful.com/donate. donate. Basically, there you can subscribe to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/ToonamiFaithful. We do have content that is exclusive only to Patreon on there. That is also a monthly subscription. So any money that you give us will help us fund the website. And those of you that still do that to this day, thank you so much for doing what you do. It is very much appreciated. We also have where you can donate straight up to us on PayPal. There's a PayPal link right there. You can just give us a one-time thing. That is there as well. And then as far as I know, and it seems that it's still going, you can click on the Right Stuff link there and buy whatever you want, and we will get a portion of that, which will also help us fund the website. So, yeah. So that's how you can help us. All right, so let's get on out of here. I think we'll start with VLord. Where can they find you?
Yeah, people can find me on Twitter at VLordGTC, and then I write various things for MangaMavericks.com as well as the Toonami Faithful website, so you can check out my writing over there. And then I do a bunch of podcasts, the biggest of which is the Demon Slayer podcast on Twitter at DSlayer Podcast. And speaking of that, we are going to be covering the Demon Slayer tour for the Swordsmith Village arc that's happening in Los Angeles later in February. So if you want to hear some first thoughts on that before the official airing in the spring, definitely check that out. And I do some other podcasts besides that. The Dumb Weebs podcast, which I do with Laser, Saturday Night Shaggy, and Oversoul Shaman King podcast.
I corrupted VLord. I'm sorry.
You also broke order. You were supposed to ask Laser first.
I like Laser better than VLord today.
Uh-oh. I'm gonna go cry.
Yes, please go cry.
So mean.
I'm assuming you're also going to cover the English dub episodes for the new season, right?
Oh yes, of course.
Okay, so
that dub is too good.
You can also find a link to the Demon Slayer podcast on our website, ToonamiFaithful.com, under the podcast link. So make sure you listen to that podcast too. Laser, where can they find you, sir?
You can find me on Twitter at LaserKid Prime. You can find me on VLord's aforementioned Demon Slayer podcast and the Dumb Weebs podcast.
Sketch, where can they find you, sir?
You can find me on Twitter at Sketch1984. And Paul, where can they find you?
Oh, hopefully sleeping. So you can find me on Twitter at Pulpskrillo. You can hear me on a different podcast called Two Strangers, One Podcast, even though we haven't done a podcast in a while, which I don't even know if we're going to continue doing that podcast at this point. Don't ask me. I have no idea. And you can email me, paulpskrillo at ToonamiFaithful.com. And yeah, that's about it. So thank you guys for listening to this episode of our podcast. Thank you for listening each and every week, as you have for all of these years. And if you've been here this whole time, thank you for listening this whole time, because really we only do this podcast for you guys because you're our fans. So thank you for listening. That's it for this episode of the Toonami Faithful podcast. Peace. We're out.
A day may come when the airings of Toonami fails, when we forsake Warner Discovery and break all bonds of viewership. But it is not this day!
what they write is totally different. I mean, what does she know? Huh, bubble-headed. They're not even in color.
Well, oh, intruder alert.
What are you talking about?
I'm serious. Intruder alert.
Stop it and send in the clients. What is?
The hull has been breached. In the aft, on the 49th level, starboard side. I've sealed it off.
I'm going out there. Right through the hull. We know where it is?
No idea. It doesn't show up. There's massive system disruption back there.
Any idea what it is?
No.
Okay, well, the hold is sealed, but keep the doors closed. I'm gonna go down there and check this thing out.